A single photograph, forgotten for 80 years, has surfaced from a Soviet archive, and what researchers found hidden inside its grain may unravel one of history's best-kept secrets. In early 2023, a team of historians combing through a neglected Soviet archive in Kiev found a black-and-white photograph with almost no context attached. Just a date, 1943, and a location somewhere in Nazi-occupied Poland. The image showed a woman in a long coat, standing between three armed soldiers. Her posture was upright, her expression unervingly calm. Behind her, a military truck sat frozen in the frame, its edges strangely blurred, as though caught mid-motion by a lens that shouldn't have existed yet. At first, the photo looked unremarkable, one more grim artifact from a war that produced millions of them. But when a group of digital historians ran it through enhanced imaging software, small inconsistencies began to surface. A unit insignia on one soldier's sleeve belonged to a formation that had officially been disbanded 2 years before the photo was supposedly taken. A faint glint on the woman's necklace, once sharpened digitally, resolved into a symbol that matched nothing in the catalog of wartime religious or cultural objects. Curious, the team scanned the print at extremely high resolution. The necklace symbol turned out to resemble an emblem tied, according to fragmentary records, to an obscure Nazi division rumored to have worked on psychological warfare. Stranger still, the woman's face didn't match any known prisoner, dissident, or resistance figure on record for that region. Her features were almost too symmetrical, too precise for a candid wartime photo. Forensic analysts ran her face against thousands of archival records. Nothing matched. It was as if she appeared in history for exactly one frame and nowhere else. Other details piled up. Weather logs from the supposed date of the photo described clear skies, yet the image showed overcast shadow. A shattered shop window in the background reflected what looked like a second photographer, though no second photograph from that scene was ever found. Most puzzling of all, the lens characteristics in the image matched glass that, according to manufacturing records, wasn't produced until 1945, 2 years after the photo was allegedly taken. That anomaly pointed historians toward a chilling hypothesis: stage deception. Nazi psychological operations sometimes manufactured fake documentary scenes to mislead enemy intelligence. Digging through surviving German records, researchers found a passing reference to something called Operation Godblick, God's Gaze, a program said to involve staged, falsified wartime imagery. The photo shared eerie similarities with the sparse descriptions of that program, yet it appeared in no German inventory. If it belonged to Godblick at all, it may have been an unreleased test case. Material analysis deepened the mystery rather than resolving it. The woman's coat was woven from a synthetic fiber not mass-produced until after 1946, yet the photographic paper and ink dated cleanly to 1942 to 1944. Either someone had faked the image decades later using period authentic materials, or something about the subject herself didn't belong to her own timeline. Analysts began using the phrase chronological inconsistency, language usually reserved for Cold War intelligence disputes. Even the vehicle in the background raised flags. Experts identified it as an armored transport model typically deployed on the Western Front, not in Poland, and its motion blur suggested a shutter speed beyond what 1940s cameras could achieve. Whatever had taken this photograph, it had captured a level of detail that shouldn't have been possible for its era. The woman herself became the real mystery. She stood with an unnerving stillness, not fear but composure, as if she understood something the soldiers around her didn't. Her coat stitching matched Parisian tailoring, not anything typical of occupied Poland. A hidden insignia, visible only after enhancement, resembled a symbol tied to banned Jewish resistance networks, the kind of mark someone would go to great lengths to conceal from the very soldiers surrounding her. Was she a courier? An infiltrator inside the Nazi command structure? A double agent playing both sides? A faint scar on her hand, barely visible even under magnification, turned out to match a description buried in an unpublished Holocaust survivor's memoir, a passage recalling a woman who moved through the resistance's shadows during the war's darkest years. The memoir had never been closely examined until this photograph reignited interest in it. Theories multiplied. An Allied spy behind enemy lines, a resistance operative funneling intelligence out of occupied territory, even a leader within an underground network whose name had simply been lost. What all the speculation agreed on was this. Whoever she was, her calm in that moment suggested someone who had made peace with the risk long before the shutter clicked. Months into the investigation, a name emerged, Adelina Kanig. According to the reconstructed account, she was a multilingual Jewish woman who had built one of the boldest double lives of the war. By day, a translator inside Nazi logistics operations. By night, an intelligence source feeding information to the resistance and the Allies. Her position gave her access most agents could only dream of. She is said to have organized underground evacuation routes for Jewish children across occupied Europe while quietly funneling military intelligence outward. The risk was extraordinary. Both sides, in different ways, would have killed her if her double life were discovered. Some accounts even claim her name appeared on a personal list of people marked for elimination by the Nazi leadership. As Allied forces advanced, her network reportedly grew unstable. Suspicion of an informant inside her circle spread, and by the final months of 1943, Adelina's trail went cold. No further mentions of her appeared in intelligence records. Had she been captured, killed, or had she vanished deliberately, slipping into hiding before her cover could unravel completely? The uncertainty is, in its own way, the point. A reminder of how many resistance operatives disappeared from the historical record without explanation, their contributions unrecognized because no one ever confirmed how their stories ended. Later analysis of the same photograph turned up something else. In the reflection of a car window behind the soldiers, AI-assisted image enhancement revealed a partial face. One investigators matched, with roughly 94% confidence, to a man identified as Dr. Heinrich Falk, a physician associated with coercive psychological experimentation. Falk reportedly disappeared without a trace after the war. His presence in the frame reframed the entire photograph. Was Adelina actually being detained as a courier or spy? Or was she being delivered somewhere else entirely, as a subject for study? A blurred label on a file tucked into her coat pocket, sharpened through digital restoration, appeared to read Project Morgenlicht, Project Daylight. No verified Nazi program by that name has ever been cataloged, which only deepened speculation. Was it an identity erasure experiment? A precursor to psychological conditioning research? The theory that gained traction suggested the Nazis may have been testing methods to strip captives of memory and selfhood entirely, turning resistance operatives into blank, compliant subjects. If true, it would explain the gap in the record. Adelina hadn't simply vanished from history. She may have been erased from it. The Project Daylight theory holds that certain Nazi researchers pursued psychological programs aimed not at physical destruction, but at dismantling identity itself, attempting to overwrite memory and personality to produce subjects with no resistance and no past. Notes attributed to Falk, reportedly recovered in Brazil during the 1970s, describe a female subject possessing unbreakable cognitive defenses, someone who resisted every attempt to rewrite her memory. Historians speculate this may reference Adelina, and that her resistance to the program is precisely what made her a liability the regime wanted silenced. A strange footnote appeared in 1951. During CIA debriefings of former Nazi officers, Adelina's name surfaced briefly, with suggestions she may have survived the war under a different identity. It was a fragment, not a confirmation, but enough to suggest her story hadn't necessarily ended in 1943. The following year, according to this account, a 98-year-old woman in Buenos Aires was watching a documentary about the mysterious photograph when she recognized the face on her screen. DNA testing is said to have confirmed what she already knew. It was Adelina, alive, having spent decades under an assumed name after escaping a detention site in Austria in 1944.